The Shooter Act. His hand twitched, starting to reach back toward the skin-warmed steel of the weapon. But another person was in the metal detector now, setting it off, distracting the TSA officer just as he was about to wand over the gun. The TSA agent sighed. "You," he said to the person in the detector. "Come over here." "You," he said to Jack. And it was Jack's turn to sigh, out of relief. He was sure he was about to be waved on, bypassing the scanner. Perfect. "You just go through the body scanner." Not perfect. His heart was racing now, no avoiding it then. This was where it was going to start. Another agent gestured him into the body scanner, and he stopped at the step up, swallowing hard. On the other side, another TSA agent gestured to the footprints on the floor, waving him in like they were leading him up the gallows. He climbed in, lining his feet up with the images on the floor of the chamber. He mimicked the simplified graphic painted on the window, assuming the position hands above head. Through the glass wall of the chamber, he could see the monitor where two TSA agents were peering down. One was watching the baggage scans, while the other, an older woman, kept her eyes trained on the body scanner's screen. Jack was excited, tingling with expectation, and wondering if that was at all a natural feeling for someone in his position. But then the scanning instrument spun around him, and he held his breath for the results. The older woman watching the screen looked up over the monitor at Jack, hands still raised. Her eyebrows were furrowed, confused, and she nudged the officer next to her and nodded down at the screen. They both looked for a moment, then exchanged words before they both looked up at him. Again, they looked down at the screen, the man leaning in and squinting, pointing at something. Jack could tell the instant where they both recognized the brightly lit object on the screen as a gun. The lady fumbled for something, trying to keep her eyes on Jack as he tore his jacket off, throwing it down in the body scanner. This was it. He reached behind his back, pulling the hammer back in the practiced motion, and at the same time, the woman behind the scanner pulled the walkie-talkie up to her mouth, eyes widening as she realized what Jack was doing. She was about to press the button, put out the alert, but that's when Jack fired his first shot. First, there was a chorus of screaming, mingled with the tinkle of broken glass. The TSA agent next to the body scanner dropped to the floor. "Everybody down!" Jack yelled, bursting from the scanning chamber and waving the gun around. He rushed to the end of the conveyor and collected his bag, sensing the ripple of people away from him as he moved. Behind the scanning station, the security guards were moving up, and everyone was staring at him. They were looking at the gun, yes, but also at Jack's shirt, which was covered in strange markings. The bits of paper he had pinned all over himself were square boxes, checkered white and black in a language that only computers could read. They were QR codes, more than 20 of them, each linking to a unique web address. "Pull out your phones." Nobody moved. "Do it," he yelled, pointing the gun at the nearest person's head and pulling back the hammer. "Pull them out or I shoot her!" His eyes darting, the taste of metal in his mouth. Adrenaline spiked through Jack's nervous system, and all of a sudden he was relieved that he'd practiced with the gun. Something about the chemical cocktail now rushing through his system sent his fine motor skills through a blender, and he was shaking. "Do you want this lady to die?" he yelled, and slowly they started to follow his instructions. They pulled their phones out. "Now," he said, "use the cameras."